Hello, everybody. Good evening or morning, wherever you are. It's evening here in Tel Aviv. So, I am super excited. I'm inviting her on the screen to have the Esther. Here she is. The Placenta Queen. Oh, wait. There we go. The Placenta Queen is on tonight. I'm so excited. Esther and I met at the ICCM conference last week, and I had no idea who she was when I first met her, and then I posted a picture of us, and then someone was like, oh, there she is, she's legging. Someone was like, she's the placenta woman, and I was like, what? So I had to have her on here. She was telling me her story. I'm bringing her on. It's awesome. So I wanted to share that with all of you, answer all of your placenta questions, let you know how you can learn more about placentas with Esther. She should be coming on. She is being added onto the screen right now. Got a few peeps watching. All right. Hello.
Hi.
I forgot I was going to put in my headphones.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. But I don't know if it's through
Okay,
the headphone
great.
or not. I forgot to put mine
It's
in
definitely
right
not. It's okay.
Maybe not. It's
It's
okay.
from my phone, my magical.
I can hear you fine. I'll put mine in. Let's see. You can hear me, yeah?
It's a little choppy.
Yeah, you just froze. But wait, let's see. Hey, everybody watching, let us know, too, if you can hear us and you can see us okay. Tell us in the comments. We'll have them tell us.
Yeah, Sarah, I'm just going to make sure everything's all right. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're good to go.
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me, so we're good. All right, so I was just saying that we just met last week at the ICCM conference, and I had no idea who you were, and you're so humble you didn't say anything. And then I posted it, and then Ellie, from Ear Seeds, he was like, that's a placenta.
Right.
And I was like, what? So I loved your story, and I'm hoping that you could let everybody here know your story and like how you got into it and how you learned all this stuff.
Sure.
Oh, good. Thanks. The B-House says that you can hear us. So good. Thanks for letting us know.
Great.
Oh.
So I'm very excited to share my story with you. Mm-hmm. And of course, Alyssa, I'm really excited to be working with you and showing everybody about mainstreaming acupuncture in Chinese medicine. I started out as a student, like we all do, and I was expecting. It was really ambitious. And my intern told me, you've got to eat your placenta. It's going to get your nails looking great. Your hair is going to be shiny. And I was just like, that's really gross. No, thank you.
Uh-oh, you froze. Oh.
Digging a bit deeper. And actually eating the placenta is super healthy. Mm-hmm. And not just for superficial benefits, not just for cosmetic benefits, but especially for the postpartum mother. Mm-hmm. It can help prevent postpartum depression. It increases lactation. Mm-hmm. It'll help increase her iron. Mm-hmm. Most women during pregnancy and postpartum are anemic. Mm-hmm. And it also has the same oxytocin and hormones that help the body feel good. So it's great for postpartum pain. Mm-hmm. There's postpartum cramping. And just in general, makes that maternal instinct that much stronger.
Awesome.
Most mammals ingest their placenta. And the research has shown that mammals who do have a better bonding relationship with their offspring. And they've done studies where they tried to keep the placenta away from the mammal. And it was really hard because the mammals instinctively need that placenta. And they would notice that those mammals were not bonding as well for their offspring, didn't have those nurturing instincts. So in our society, we're
like, I didn't know that at all. That's so interesting.
Yeah, well, we're learning more about the role of the placenta. Mm-hmm. It's not just something extra to throw out. Mm-hmm. Its life is not over once it's birthed. So So I did not encapsulate my placenta when I had my first because there was a bit of ignorance around the topic in the Jewish circles I was in. But then I really wished I had it. So when I was expecting my second, I actually asked my brother, who's a big rabbi in Jerusalem, and he would know if it's okay. And he said, absolutely, it's medicinal. You know, the highest priority, you know, in Judaism is life. So definitely go for it. And thankfully, I gave birth in a place where they allowed me to keep my placenta. And my grandmother and I, we encapsulated it together.
Amazing.
And then, you know, my midwife heard about it, and then she started sending people to me. And right after I had my baby, my second baby, I started my practice. So it was just so natural to keep it as a service that I provide, because I'm treating lots of fertility and lots of children, and it sort of, you know, connects the dots. And it's really amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah.
So, okay. So is the only way that you suggest people consuming their placenta is through encapsulation? Just because, like, when I posted this, someone said they ate their placenta in a smoothie. Like, there was like bananas, coconut and water, but like blueberries and placenta.
There are so many ways to consume the placenta. And in fact, now the trend is coming back, especially in Western culture, but in Eastern culture, it's been around for a long time. So one could make placenta stew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the smoothies are really popular. People will make ice cubes.
Ice cubes.
They used to call the pills. The pills were just sliced pieces of frozen placenta. They would freeze the placenta and slice it into little pill-sized bits and call that a pill. And they can eat placenta jerky. I've seen recipes for placenta pizza. There are so many possibilities, but the research shows that the safest way is to steam and then dehydrate the placenta and then consume it either in granules or you know, put the granules in capsules, because sometimes there are live bacteria still in the placenta. For example, group B strep, that women at towards the end of pregnancy, they're all tested for beta strep to see if they're positive for it, in which case they need to be treated so that it doesn't pass on to the baby. So sometimes it is safer or, you know, better to steam and then dehydrate the placenta. Some patients or some clients, they have super hot constitutions and they can run for miles. They can actually handle just dehydration, where the placenta is just raw and sliced and dehydrated and crushed. That's okay for them. But I found that most of my patients' constitutions, especially postpartum, they're kind of weak, they're spleen deficient. So when you're steaming the placenta, you're taking away those cold properties and making it easier to digest, easier to handle, and really like a tonic from the inside out. Yeah. Because, we'll study TCM that during pregnancy and labor and delivery, the spleen has to go from like a complete 180. Oh, yeah. Holding. Now birth, out, down. So steaming the placenta really adds spleen tonic to it. And some people even add herbs. Yeah. Common herbs to add is ginger, lemon, cayenne pepper. When you're steaming the placenta and you're adding in those properties, the ginger for the spleen, the lemon for the liver, and the cayenne pepper, to add that warmth so that it's easily incorporated, so like it's a more of a precise herb for the mom.
And do you do this service for your patients, or do you teach them how? Or both?
So I do it for my patients.
You do it for them.
It requires a lot of equipment, and some women, if they're up to it and they're ambitious, I give them instructions. I tell them what to do. But most women, after going through delivery, are not so able to do it. Yeah. And those who can, like, good for them. It's even even if a family member can help, it's great. And it's, it's a really nice process. It's a nice bonding. Like my grandmother and I really, like, it meant a lot to me that she was doing this with me and for me. And every time I do a placenta, I kind of think of her, and of course, my own daughter, and it was very special. And that's how they did it years ago, that the mothers, the grandmothers, great grandmothers would take the placenta, and they had a lot of rituals around it. It was very common as actually burying the placenta, which doesn't give the mom much nutrition, but it sort of gives us an idea of how powerful and how strong the placenta is. It's not medical waste, it's sacred. And it's full of all the blood, all the nutrients, all the energy, all the proteins that mom made. If she can take it back in, it's great. She can get back to herself even faster.
So I was just seeing if anybody had questions, but not yet. If anybody has questions that's watching, let us know. But so I was wondering, like, how do you approach talking to your pregnant patients about this? Because for some patients, it's like, what? How you were in the beginning. And it's just so gross for them to even think about. So what suggestions would you have for that?
So if they're already my patient, they've already seen how correct Chinese medicine is. That so many of the concepts and the observations are true, especially as they relate to them specifically, individually. So once I tell them the effects of the placenta, and that 98% of women who take it experience positive effects, helps them, be able to cope better with having a child or another child, or most of my avid clients are women who it's their 5th kid, their 6th, their 8th kid, because it's a no-brainer. It's become way more popular amongst first moms because, January Jones and the Kardashians done it, so that, it's really saving this generation of mothers from hell. So, 1 in 8 women get postpartum depression. And a third of those experience suicidal thoughts. Wow. And any first time mom will tell you, like, I believe that. It's beyond overwhelming. Overwhelming is not the word. It's just everything's demanded of you, and there's little energy, and there's little time, and there's little sleep. So I tell my patients, get ready for the ride of your life, but this can help you. This can help it. Even ease it just a bit, make things a bit more manageable, take down your stress just a little bit, calm your mind just a drop. It's so worth it. It's really worth it. And it's really not that expensive. I think in the States, like, hiring someone else to do it can range somewhere between $200 to $400. As an insurance policy against postpartum depression goes, that's really nothing. The mother, sorry.
I was just going to say, has any of your patients that you've done this with experienced postpartum depression?
So a couple have. Usually the ones that have had bad postpartum depression before, they may have some parts of it, but they all say it's not as bad as the initial. That the edges have been taken off, because it could be they're predisposed to it because of their constitution, or and there are hormonal effects that go with it. I've had some patients, look at my dosing and say, no, I need way more. They've had their placenta encapsulated before, and they say, no, I know myself, I need more per day, and that can happen because it's not a regulated medicine. You're not even getting the same amount of pills that come out of every placenta. It depends how big the placenta is. So we're learning a lot about this medicine, and it's important that whoever a mom chooses to encapsulate with, or if they're hiring someone for their service, that they understand that the person they're hiring understands dosing, and that there's a communication. And whenever I hand off the pills, I say, call me if you have any questions at all, even if it's you think it's ridiculous, let me know, because this is still new terrain, and most of the evidence we have on human placenta phagia, human placenta consumption, is all anecdotal. And, 100 million Chinese men can't be wrong, right? So, like, there's so much behind it, and there's so much evidence to it. But, we want to pay attention, and there are bodies doing research on it. So, if you're interested in encapsulating your placenta, keep your eyes out, because there are people taking surveys, trying to, pool the information, and it's quite amazing what we're finding out.
That's cool. Boaz is asking, what about the kosher issues? Are there any kosher issues?
So that's a great question, and that's the question I had. So whereas placenta can't be classified as kosher because it's not food, we can call it permissible, or in Hebrew we would call it mutar. It's mutar to eat the placenta because it's not treif. This can't be the opposite of kosher because it's not food to begin with. So you definitely can. Feel free to contact me. I have a dissertation, the list of sources from the rabbi who gave me the heter, the okay to eat my placenta, and then you can show that, or a mother can show that to their rabbi, so that they can see that there's precedence to it. Unfortunately, way too often people will just say no because it's so bizarre, and they assume that it's disgusting and it can't be kosher, but actually it is permissible. And, every rabbi is going to make their own decision based on the circumstances and the facts given to them. But here you can give them the facts and show the precedence, and then they can make an informed decision. Whether it be yes or no, at least it should be informed, so that, families can be saved.
Yeah.
And, also if you're doing your own placenta, it's better to use completely separate utensils, from a food hygiene point of view, and as well from a kosher point of view. So just keep everything separate and you'll be okay.
Awesome. And then all this research, like you're talking about, they're collecting data and stuff. Are you doing any of this too? Or just doing it through your personal clinic?
So I'm not doing it. I keep my ear to the ground. There's a huge collective of women and families and placenta encapsulators. There's a huge Facebook group called Placenta Encapsulation. And on it there was basically they're doing Google Forms. It's a survey, and through that they're compiling data. It's very detailed as to asking the mother's experience with the placenta and how it was consumed and how it was prepared, and we're trying to find out as much information as possible. It used to be a very underground movement, and whoever did it probably didn't say anything about it. And but the results are just phenomenal. So now everybody is interested in thinking about it. And also in terms of other ways to consume, people also use tinctures. One could take a piece of their placenta and put it in alcohol for about 6 weeks and strain out the pieces. And you've got a homeopathic reminder to the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And some people actually give it to the child.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much I didn't think about. I love it.
Yeah. There's so many cultures that incorporate the placenta. And like I said, it's probably been kept quiet. It sounds strange. It sounds barbaric. And but now that the world's evolving to mindfulness and open-mindedness, then we can be truthful. And like I said, because it was such a underground thing and also a natural thing, there's not so many historical sources about it. Just because either it was assumed you would do something with it or you wouldn't do something with it. So we're building a new culture here.
And do women that you work with, is it like, do they have a hard time keeping their placenta? Because I know sometimes in the United States, even when they asked, that the doctors would like throw it away, when they were all woozy and distracted from the baby, Like, do you have any suggestions or tips on that?
Yeah. So in the United States, they're a bit more squeamish. I moved to Israel in 2014 from New York, and each hospital had their own policies around giving the placenta to the mother. They never made sense. For example, some hospital had a policy that it had to stay in pathology for 2 days. So then the mother had to stress out, make sure they weren't pumping it with formaldehyde, and they had to make sure that it was still viable to be used. A different hospital would keep it in the fridge for a week, which basically spoiled it. Another very popular hospital in Brooklyn wouldn't let mothers take it home at all.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
It was like a covert operation. Like dad would be in the parking lot with a cooler of ice, just like waiting for someone to bring it down in the hospital bag. And that hospital changed their policy because people were doing it anyway. Good. So they said, if you're going to do it, take it out within 2 hours. I don't know what they thought was going to happen to it in 2 hours. Thankfully, here in Israel, all the hospitals have not encountered any problem.
That's good.
They say, I want my placenta. They say, great. Some of them even give like a little Tupperware. Enjoy. They don't really want it in delivery. So when the mother or the doula or the father leaves, not the mother, like the mother's mother, when somebody leaves to go home and nap, they want the placenta out with it. It shouldn't really be staying with the mom. We get hold of it, and sometimes even by the time the mom's discharged from the hospital, she's got her pills and she can start taking.
Okay. And there's another question here too. Can you see the questions on your side? Or are they only on my side?
I can't.
So Biha is asking, is there a time limit for encapsulating the placenta? Does the placenta go bad?
Okay, that's a great question. So the placenta should be treated like a piece of meat. About 2 hours after delivery, it has to be put in the fridge or packed with ice so that it doesn't go bad. It could stay in the fridge between 2 to 3 days. So if you know that it's not going to be processed by 2 to 3 days after birth, put it in the freezer. And it can stay in the freezer for a very, very long time. The potency goes down after about 6 months.
Okay.
But I've encapsulated placentas a year old or longer, that the mother still felt some benefit. So as long as it's cared for properly, kept cool or frozen, it really doesn't. It's, I mean, I haven't done more than a year old. Some people message me, mine's 6 years old, what should I do? I'm like, well, we could try it, it's an experiment. But usually they bury it or they find something to do with it after 6 years. But once the pills have been encapsulated, they're good forever.
Oh, forever?
If they're stayed in a cool and dry place.
Oh, wow.
Forever. Because the way I made it, I completely dehydrate it.
Okay.
So as long as it's not in a humid environment, bacteria can't grow on it.
Okay.
So, let's say mom had a huge placenta, 300 pills. She doesn't need any more after a while. She could put it in in the freezer and save it for menopause.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So the pills have a really long shelf life as long as they're kept dry, and people save them. Also, some moms use it for separation anxiety. Let's say it's the kid's first day of school, or mom's going back to work. That the memory of the time that they were together really has a huge effect, a huge calming effect.
Wow.
And also, like on the child, we said that some people give their tinctures to the child because this placenta was their protector. In some cultures, they even describe the placenta as the sibling or the brother that kept them company in the womb. So if the child's very sick and having trouble, let's say fighting an EPF, like something that the kid just can't kick, or if they're really anxious, or again, separation anxiety, that reminder, that memory of that warm, calm, collected time, really does a lot for them. I have one client who says she uses it instead of antibiotics for her kid.
Wow.
So, I mean, I don't recommend people to do that just because, you know, we're already, you know, walking in danger zones, but there's so much potential.
Yeah,
There's so much
wow.
potential.
Wow, we need studies on this stuff. So, okay, we have another question.
Yeah.
Libby says, are there benefits for non-postpartum women to take these pills? I think you kind of already answered that, but yes, right?
So yeah. But again, it's uncharted territory. So if we're talking about somebody with endocrine problems, suffering from infertility, or by premenopause, you know, hot flashes, you know, it'll help because these are the same hormones that'll balance the system. So some people would say yes. There are a lot of topical uses for the placenta. Like I heard now in Japan, like placenta cosmetics are like taking off, and hair tonics and, you know, everything, because it's got progesterone in it. So I know, especially for the postmenopausal group, placenta cream is where it's at because it's got progesterone in it. So it's bringing more collagen and elastin to the face. It's stem cells. So whereas I definitely don't recommend, like I don't play matchmaker with placentas. Like I'm not going to say like, oh, I've got this person's placenta, I can give it to you for your, you know, I don't do that. If somebody has a need for it, they have to find somebody they know and they trust. And remember, you know, bloodborne pathogens apply. So if somebody chooses to ingest someone else's placenta, it's at their own risk. But topically, it's you know, viable and fun and really effective.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I would think it'd be a little weird eating someone else's placenta, like a qi shen kind of thing, you know? Like, that'd be weird.
Right. So it should be somebody you're close with. Like I had a friend, you know, nurse my baby at one point, and you know, they're forever linked. So it's kind of the same thing. It's a very personal thing. And that's also what makes it a perfect postpartum remedy for that mother. It's made out of her. So besides for extenuating circumstances, it's really perfect for her.
Awesome. This is so interesting. Okay, so you have a course where you teach people how to encapsulate placentas, right? And all this stuff that you're talking about, like dosage and all this stuff, is in your course?
Yes, it's in my course. Awesome. It's an online learning course. I can't show up in, you know, Westchester and do a placenta with you. So this is the closest thing you can get to it. You'll see me doing raw encapsulations, TCM encapsulations, how to make placenta prints, how to make placenta tinctures, how to make a placenta salve for the mother and for the baby's bum. And it's all in videos. Plus there's ongoing support. Awesome. There's a special Facebook group of students who've taken the course. If they have questions, I'm there to guide them. And it's on earseeds.com. You know, same people who are mainstreaming auricular acupuncture are also, you know, mainstreaming placenta usage. Awesome. And it's really wonderful. So the course, especially, you know, if you're an acupuncturist, you've got an idea about OSHA and bloodborne pathogens. It gives you exactly what you need in order to start giving the service and incorporating it into your practice. And for the layperson, it's really helpful. It's a wonderful introduction. And there are also extra bloodborne pathogen classes you could take to strengthen that if you don't have that background.
And technically, this is actually something that acupuncturists could learn and then add to their practice as a way to increase their income.
Absolutely. It's a great way to increase the income. It's a great way to strengthen your relationship with your patients, especially if you're treating fertility, gynecology, pediatrics. It's a great bridge. It's you know, it's a bit time consuming, but there is a way to balance it with your practice and with it as well. You have to see if it's your passion, because, you know, some people don't like touching like heavy bloody things. I love touching heavy bloody things. It's, you know, it's gotta be something you're
cool
into.
with that.
Yeah, but I love it, you know, like treating patients. But I tell people, like, nothing perks up my day like getting a placenta, like getting a text message or a call, like, we had the baby. You know, it's just like, I can't wait. So, you know, there's so much potential in it. There's so much life in it. There's so much chi. There's so much blood. It's like, just to touch it is invigorating.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I don't know. What is it, like a blob?
Addition.
Like, I've never had a child, so I don't know what a placenta looks like. Is it like livery? Is it like gushy? What's it like?
So I've heard somebody say it looks like a pastrami.
Pastrami? But that's really, like, tough.
Like, it's... If Facebook allows, I'm happy to post a picture of what a placenta looks like.
Awesome.
In the comments. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. You might get blacklisted. I don't know.
I think if it's in the comments, it'll be okay.
It's okay. It's a big roundish blob. It's a heavy blob.
It's like a blob.
It looks like a plate. Like placenta comes from the German word plate. So it's like a plate, and, you know, the bottom is where it attached to the mother, and the top where the cord comes out is where, you know, is the fetal side, and and even just how this organ is made and formed in the uterus it's amazing. It's really an amazing organ. You've got to hold it.
Yeah, I want to now.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's very powerful.
Very cool.
Definitely.
All right. Well, this is awesome. So interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I highly recommend acupuncturists and everybody check out your course. Like you said, it's on earseeds.com. I guess just under courses, you can be able to find it. I'll put in the comments too. And yeah, I think it's super interesting what you're talking about.
You can get CEUs.
Oh, and CEUs. Perfect.
You can get it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good for three NCCAUM CEUs.
Perfect.
Yeah, it can't hurt. And also, you know, there's a little bit of TCM in there too. So, you know, if you just want to broaden your knowledge base, it's helpful too.
Yeah, and I think all this stuff that you're talking about too, about just so much that's unknown with placenta, that we could use it for mainstream medicine, is so fascinating, you know? So like you said, if it's someone's passion, like the more that you get into this and learn and you can share your knowledge with everybody, like the better. Because it is like, it's like a superfood, but better.
Right. It's very, very precious.
Yeah.
It's not just super, it's precious. Yeah.
There's so much we don't know.
Right, so thank you
Thank you, Esther.
Yeah, well, probably in another few months, 2 years, you know, we'll do an update. You know, we found out that it can cure cancer and this and that. Yeah. I won't be surprised. It's stem cells. It's just stem cells.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you are definitely.
But don't quote me on that. Nobody quote me on that.
It's fine. It's Facebook. Say whatever you want. No. You are definitely the placenta queen. Thank you so much for talking to us. Everybody, take Esther's course.
Such a pleasure.
Follow Esther's placenta journey. And then I'll see you again.
Okay.
Bye, Esther.
Bye.